Welcome to the Comic Sauce Podcast, where we talk comics and comics culture. I am Henry Liu, and today I am joined by Porfirio Rangel. Porfirio, how are you?
I'm doing good, Henry. Happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm also joined by Christian Diadamo. Christian, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well. Also happy to be here. It's finally nice after 3 months of rain, although more on the horizon.
Yeah, it's been rainy. If you are a resident of California, you've most likely been experiencing a lot of rain lately, which is different for us, right?
Not
So,
used to it.
yeah, for sure. Today is March 23rd, 2023, and we're going to talk about a show that recently finished its first season, The Last of Us, a
Dun
show
dun
that
dun.
Yes, a show that a lot of people watched, a lot of people talked about, and we're going to talk about it right here, right now. Okay, the Comic Sauce Podcast can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Comic Sauce Pod. Okay, so The Last of Us. Before we get into the spoilery conversation, let's talk a little bit about expectations, as we often do. I know none of us actually played the game, but I am curious about expectation levels. We all did watch the show in its entirety, and the show, like I said, just finished March 12th. And I'm curious, how did we feel going into the season? What were we expecting? Kristen, you want to kick us off here?
Yeah. So I never played the game, but it's definitely a game that's always been like had a lot of high praise for its story. In a lot of like gaming circles. I never really had the PlayStation 4. Um, I think it was all the first one was also on PS3, which I wasn't really playing around then either. I was around that time I was like high into the Xbox camp. So I never got around to it. But it's a game I always want to, and it's finally re-releasing for PC, and I'll have my chance. But I've been pretty high on video game shows and video game content a lot more lately than I think I've have been, any time previously. So I was really hoping for, another home run for adaptions. And I think this one definitely had much more of an oomph, a push behind it with Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, as well as like the people from Chernobyl working on it. And of course, that good old HBO like money and prestige. So I was looking forward to this one quite a bit.
Right on. How about you, Porfirio?
Yeah, same like Christian. Like I never played The Last of Us on PlayStation. I always knew about it, but even then I didn't know about I knew it exists, but I didn't know about the storyline or anything like that. Um, and even yeah, like when it was announced that like the cast members who were involved in everything, I didn't really care. And I think got the I was the most interested was when the trailer came out last year, you know. I It just instantly caught my attention, I think because I just love like zombie stuff, like Walking Dead and all that bunch of stuff. And um so yeah, like the the trailer just like caught my interest right away. And yeah, like I remember just watching the first episode and just like being like blown away by like the production value and the storyline, character development. Like it was just felt really I don't know what the right word is, but just it was really great. Everything's just really well done in that very first episode.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely get into the show itself a whole lot more. But just continuing on with the expectations discussion. Um, yeah, for me, I think the expectations um, weren't really there until like right before episode one aired. Like for me, I also didn't play the game, and I was a big Walking Dead TV show fan. But I think for me, the last thing I wanted to see was another zombie show. I was kind of done with that. And yeah, I hadn't seen the trailer. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of expectation for me until like not long before they started the season. And then the hype machine really kicked in. There was crazy buzz for this show. I was hearing about it from everyone, like media, friends, coworkers, people were just talking about it. And I was like, "Whoa, I think I need to see this show," right? So on the hype machine alone, I was looking forward to it just because it was like it had such huge buzz. I had never seen that in a long time, that much buzz for a new show. So that definitely captured my interest. Okay, so let's give the spoiler alert and get into the show itself. We can start with what we liked about the show. Anything in particular? Yeah, you kind of already started it, Porfirio. Are there specifics to the show you enjoyed? Maybe we can start with that first episode you're already talking about.
Yeah, I think the first episode, like again, I guess just from like the trailer, you already know what the show's about. It's about like an outbreak and everything, like a zombie outbreak. Um, and and so like during the show, you're just kind of like wondering like, oh, how is this gonna play out and everything? Because I feel like normally in those kind of films and TV shows, it just like kind of happens and you just accept it. But I think like what kind of added to like the horror element in this one was kind of like it was kind of like real time. Like you see um like uh the news talk about it or people talking about it on the sideline and they're like, "Oh, I bet it was terrorists or like this should happen or whatever." Like you'd hear it like on the TV screen or like people saying like you gotta go home, telling Joel's daughter to go get home, And then so I think there's like this like all like this like build up suspense that just like brings you into um the situation of the first show, like that adrenaline. And I think what the first show does, like I said, I never played the game, but there were certain elements you could tell that they kind of got from like the game, like in terms of like the way like certain characters looked at things or certain things that the characters did. There's that one shot where like the farmhouse is on fire. Um, and it's just something I could totally picture happening in a game, or like when they're in the town and they're trying to drive away from the large masses. It's another element I could see like being like a difficult level within the game. And so I think like that adaptation into like a real life live action film or TV show is just really well done. Like I cannot give enough praise to that setup.
Yeah, right on. Furthering on that, I too really liked the pre-apocalypse stuff in episode 1. Like, I feel like kind of what you're alluding to, often with zombie movies and shows, we get the aftermath, or maybe we get like the backstory. But I feel like we don't see enough of the apocalypse happening
Hmm.
like right before our eyes, right? In real time. And we saw that here. And to me, that is like, that can be the most exciting stuff to see in a zombie movie or show. And we really got to see that here. There was that really awesome scene. You already talked about it a little bit, Porfirio, but we see Joel trying to escape, and it's like a point of view shot in his car. And you see the outbreak happening right before your eyes. You see a movie theater, and there's all this mayhem, people pouring out of the theater, like confusion, people running around in the streets, and they can barely navigate the streets because there's so many people around. And then there's that great shot of like a plane crashing, like almost taking them out, right?
Hmm.
And it is just so visceral, so like real. It really felt like you were right there, like you were going through the beginnings of a zombie apocalypse. So awesome, super exciting. And yeah, what a great way to start this show off. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, I am fucking in. Like, this is it. This is it. I am so in. What about you, Christian? Thoughts, initial thoughts here?
Yeah, that really was a great episode and a great intro. Like it was like an hour and like a half, like a movie length, but it really doesn't feel that way, you know?
Hmm.
Feels like it's over in a snap because you're just so glued to the screen. And there's one scene I think in particular that really stands out, like in all of that, that like I think is a great way to cue you into who Joel is and kind of the mayhem around then. It's when they're
Hmm.
like kind of they're all driving in the car, going down the highway, and there's like a guy who's like, please stop, help us. Like, we like I have a kid, and Joel's like, keep driving. And the guy that's with him, I forget who he is. He's like, oh, shouldn't we stop to help them? Like they have a kid. And Joel says, so do we. Keep driving.
Hmm.
And I think, uh, and it makes you kind of wonder, like, oh, was that the right thing to do? Should they have stopped and helped them? But I think there's so much mayhem, there's so much going on, and Joel is a very like focused character who also is always like he likes to protect who's around him, but also really just not care about everybody else in a way, and
Hmm.
comes off super cold to the actual world around him. And it's kind
Yeah.
of like something that they like expand a lot more on as the show goes on. But I think
Hmm.
that's like a nice little like moment to kind of carpet uh compartmentalize like pretty much this whole character right there, kind of within this
Yeah.
very hectic scenario. So all around great episode. Definitely like one of the best episodes of all nine, like pretty amazing episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And going off of that, um, yeah, they were doing great character development from the very beginning, and it just kept going. The character development in this show is so good. You really get to know these characters, the main characters for sure, side characters also. um it's great, the writing's great, the acting's great. um yeah, I can't say enough. Yeah, the speaking of the main characters, the two main characters of the show are Joel Miller and Ellie Williams, played superbly by Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. Man, they are so good in this show. um we'll probably go on and on about them. But yeah, I just want to call that out
Yeah.
early on because they are awesome.
Hmm.
What
Mhm.
else? What else was good? Not necessarily episode 1, just throughout the season. Anything we wanna call out here?
I really want to just call out episode 3, the love
Mm,
story between Bill and Frank.
yes.
That was, because I think like I think that's an episode I think nobody saw coming.
Yeah. Yep.
Like we expect this like show to be about like Joel and Ellie, and from my understanding, Bill and Frank were like these like side characters and stuff within the game. But then they like the screenwriters for the show like changed up and made them queer, and like I think like I know for me when I first was watching the show, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be like a filler episode, like
Mhm.
where I think like you said, Henry, like where it's about the side characters that I don't care about, not the main characters. But there was just so much character development with just one episode that you just can't help and be
Yeah.
like, fuck, I was not ready for these emotions to come out, And it was super sad and super awesome. And um yeah, that was just one of my favorite episodes of the season. It was just really, really well written, and major props to the actors behind Bill and Frank.
Yeah, man, that was a great episode also. Um, it made me think also that this show is not only well acted, well done, etc., but it's really bold. Episode 3, boom, they just throw this like side story where the main characters are completely sidelined and they just go for it, And yeah, like with another show, they might not want to take that kind of risk. Or maybe
Hmm.
they wait till like a later season, wait till the show's established or something. But man, for that episode to happen that early in the series, wow, like it was something else. And that wasn't the only episode like that.
Hmm.
Like there was episode let's see, 7, where you get to see Ellie and her friend Riley, and they're like hanging out at a mall.
Hmm.
Ellie is a main character, but still, it's one of those episodes that just kind of takes you away from the main story, and it's just like this side story, which again is like really bold, and it's just it potentially it can really take you away. Where as viewers, you're like, okay, I want to see the main story. Like we've been saying, it's so good. It's this awesome like zombie outbreak thing, and we love like the Joel and Ellie main story, but the side stuff, it's like as good, maybe even better. It's so phenomenal. Like I can't say enough about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, and yeah, going off what you're saying about episode 7, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong from either of you two, but I think that one was even like a side, like that storyline between Ellie and Riley was like a side quest within the video game. Like it was
Mm.
even part of like the main storyline.
Yeah, I
So
think it
for
might
the
have been DLC.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. That's what I
Ah.
heard. So to the fact that like the screenwriters like went kind of out of their way to like incorporate a DLC quest into the main like show, it's just like wow, you guys can do this and
Yeah.
write this within the show into the main storyline, which is like phenomenal,
Yeah. Yeah. It is really cool too that even though that episode 7 is a side story, it is everything in terms of developing the Ellie character. You really find out like what's
She has
going on in her
feelings.
yeah, what's going on in her brain and like what she's been through, and it totally has everything to do with her story moving forward, right? Because what happened that night was like game changing. So yeah, so cool, so cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, and I think another thing with like going back to episode 3 is that I do think in a way, even though Joel's only in it for what, like 5 to 10 minutes during Bill's story,
Mhm.
and it's a flashback, so Elliot, it's a flashback with him and Tess. It does help really like expand on his character a bit too. You kind of get to see what he was doing before he took on Ellie, his life as a smuggler,
Mhm.
and in a way, it's like Bill is kind of like one of Joel's only friends
Mhm.
at
Right,
the end of the
right.
day. He's
Yeah.
the guy that Bill writes Joel pretty much into his will at the end because he's the only one who Bill knows would come back to the compound, and you kind of like I remember like a big sigh of relief that Bill listened to Joel because they're talking at the at the beginning of that one scene where Frank invites them over and Bill has like a gun on the table pointing it at Joel, and Joel kind of like the electric hey, I can get you this, I can get you this, I can
Yeah.
get you this. And Bill's like, no, 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 we're self-sufficient here, and he doesn't trust him. And then it cuts to later when the Raiders come and you see the electric fence and you like have a sigh of relief, like, oh, thank God. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so glad they worked it out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how like you see like, oh, Joel would like smuggle things for him. Like you see they have strawberries, you know.
Yeah.
And
Ugh.
then oh yeah, Frank traded one of Bill's guns away and they got strawberry seeds. And like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
oh, they traded some stuff and they got the electric fence. And it was really nice to see like how Joel plays into them kind of living like one of the only happy lives, like the happiest life you probably could have in a world like like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yep.
The It was like the only happy story, the only happy ending.
Yeah.
Right.
Even though it
Yeah.
was a sad Romeo and Juliet ending, it
Mhm.
was a happy
Yeah.
ending.
Yeah. Yeah. It was bittersweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like what you mentioned, Christian, how again, it's a side story, but it is connected to the main story. And it does, support the main story. Like, not only do we see the Joel character to a small degree in the episode, but also it's kind of world building too, right? You're getting to know the lay of the land. Um, yes, a lot of the Last of Us world is dilapidated and post-apocalyptic, but you know, some folks are putting together a pretty nice life, and you just get to see what's going on, and it's a complex world. It's not just one thing. So, very cool, very cool.
Mhm.
What else? Any other call outs for positives?
Yeah, I want to give like a shout out to the um makeup crew of the show. You know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
what are they called? They're not called zombies, but clickers.
Clickers. Yeah,
Well, the clickers
clickers.
are a particular type, right?
Okay.
Um, I
So
think they're just called what, the infected? Is that
Hmm.
what they referred to
okay,
them
let me
as?
like the infected
Infected.
dude, like that makeup, like it's just because when we see zombies, I imagine something like Walking Dead, like blood spilling out and like flesh being like all rotten and everything. But this one, like it's total like fungi, like parasite infected um people, and like the makeup and the special effects and the movements, are just like creepy as fuck, like something straight out of a nightmare. And
Yeah.
like they're it's so funny because like the show, I guess, is it's supposed to be like this apocalyptic world because of the infected, even though there isn't that much of them shown throughout the show. But when they are shown, like it's like a big deal. It's like really like just like the they just give so much like bad mojo to like the situation going on at hand. So it's really, really great.
Yeah.
Mhm. Like
Yeah.
it,
Real quick, Christian,
oh yeah.
those are my thoughts exactly. Like, I liked how the show used the zombies sparingly. There wasn't a whole lot of zombie action all told, right, for the whole season. But when there is zombie shit in it, it looks great and it is intense. It's really good. I really loved how the zombies aren't overused here. Go ahead.
Yeah, now that you mention it, like you definitely think the zombies could be used as a crutch almost of a your typical zombie show. How it's
Hmm.
like, oh, we have to throw them in every episode to remind everyone that it is a zombie show. But the fact that they use sparingly and the fact that they tend to be so powerful, it takes a lot to really defeat one. And most of the time they're just, oh, we gotta run. There's a zombie. There's like one or two,
Hmm.
or and so when like I think it was episode 5 when all of them come out and you actually
Oh
get to
yeah.
see the army with the
Hmm.
Hmm.
really, really big guy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The
Like that's how
bloater.
you know shit really, really went down,
Yeah.
and how like Joel's the only person who really knows how to take care of it because he's the only one who's accurate enough to really get the headshot. And like another great scene, I think, was the one where you only see him go up against like a couple clickers in episode 2,
Hmm.
and those are so powerful, like
Yeah.
that. Tess has to stay behind to blow herself up. Like I had no idea that they would kill off Tess so soon after
Yeah.
introducing her.
Hmm.
That shows like the level of the threat that they're up against, and pretty much why all of humanity, most of humanity has been wiped out by these cordyceps,
Hmm. Hmm.
as well as the design that they like leave on the wall. I think is very unsettling with the plant and like the tree, like the root shapes that you kind of see everywhere, or on um Ellie's arm whenever like when she got bit, and the way they look. There's something very unsettling and like very creepy about it, as
Hmm.
opposed to your usual zombie fare where people just kind of walk around. You have brains and it looks like they have like just the regular skin falling off. The
Yeah.
fungal element just gives it an extra level of uneasiness to everything.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The fungus aspect does make them look very disturbing, and I guess we would consider these zombies fast zombies. So there's that. That's always scary. Right? The thought of a fast zombie is always pretty frightening. And there are different types of zombies, right? So there's like the standard infected, but there's also the clickers and the bloaters, and there are different levels of danger with the different types of zombies here. So pretty cool stuff. They really nailed the way the zombies looked here, and how threatening they are also. Oh, also really good comment on Tess, Christian, because you know, Tess is played by Anna Torv, who's like a well-established actress. She's really good in this show. She's really good in past stuff. But she is killed off in episode 2. So early on, we as viewers are kind of put in that place, right? Where, whoa, anyone could die at any time, right?
Hmm.
So it like that death in particular, I think, made it such that throughout the season, you weren't sure if certain characters were gonna make it or not, right? So there was that level of danger all throughout, which I think for a show like this, you talk about shows like Game of Thrones or Walking Dead, similar kind of thing, right? Where um, there is that danger element where you're just not sure. There's certain shows and movies where like the hero is gonna make it through, but shows like these, you just don't know, and it adds a huge element of suspense for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can absolutely continue talking about all the cool stuff from the show. Um, but maybe we can start getting into some of the negatives. Were there any negatives you found watching the show? Anything you disliked or preferred? Maybe they did differently? Anything in that category?
The ending.
The
Yeah,
ending.
the
Ah.
final episode.
The final episode. Not the final episode itself. Joel's decision.
All right,
Oh,
let's
this is
talk
something you
about
didn't
it.
like?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. I mean, I was already planning on getting into this at some point, so let's just go there. So maybe Porfirio just describe to us what this decision was and what happened.
Yeah, so Joel and Ellie, they catch up with Marlene, and they're, the Fireflies, and the whole that was kind of like, the whole like mission since the first episode was to get like um Ellie to them so they could like run tests on her and figure out and find like a cure for the infected and everything, and they finally get there.
Yep.
And then it's kind of like um dropped onto Joel that Ellie has to die, because the cure, I guess, is like somewhat like growing in her brain. So they need to do surgery to extract her brain and extract those parts of her brain that have the infected growing with inside her, even though she's immune to it. And this way they could like run tests and be able to, yeah, like find a cure. And Joel, like, um selfishly does not want Ellie to die because, he's just built like it's again, this just goes back to the character development. Like the very first episode, he was like, Ellie's just a mission. He gives no fucks to her. And that's kind of like an ongoing uh gag throughout the show, that
Mm-hmm.
they don't care for each other, that this is all just a mission. But as you watch the show, they like go above and beyond to keep each other safe and protect one another and be there for one another. So Joel's really like just developed this like daughter dad relationship with Ellie, and
Yep.
he doesn't want to see her go. So he starts killing off the Fireflies, and the doctor who was gonna perform surgery on Ellie, and he even kills off Marlene, because he doesn't want her to pursue them, and
Yep.
he selfishly like decides to yeah, like save Ellie over finding a cure, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and that was like, this whole show we've gotten to know Ellie, and even her, she's just a little bit like like towards the end of the episode, she's like pretty, like, I feel like annoyed with Joel. Like Joel's telling her that some other shit happened with what went down, why they didn't have a cure, and Ellie just like in the sense like, I don't trust you, but I
Mm-hmm.
will trust you because I've trusted you this whole time. I have no reason not to trust you, but she still has her doubts.
Yeah.
And so it's fucking Joel. Like, yeah. That's what I'll say.
Okay, yeah, let's get into this. So this is a huge moment in the show, right? Because um Joel and Ellie essentially completed their mission. Their mission was to get Ellie to the Fireflies, right? They were able to do that. Um, but yeah, like you said, Porfirio, big curveball. turns out that in order to distribute this cure, they have to kill Ellie. And Joel wasn't having it, so Joel ruthlessly slaughters all the fireflies, almost shockingly so, because he showed signs of his humanity kind of coming out throughout the season, but at this point, when he's in like protecting his quote unquote daughter mode, he just completely goes ruthless, and he just kills mercilessly, right? So that's the big question, right? Did Joel do the right thing here? On one hand, he is saving the girl that has really become his daughter, the girl that he loves, clearly. On the other hand, he may have, um, ruined the one shot that humanity has against the zombie infection, right? A lot of big things to weigh here. Right. So going back to you, Porfirio, it sounds like you don't think Joel should have done this, right? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah. Yeah, like
So
I'm
you
just
go ahead.
I just think it was just completely selfish of Joel. I understand why he did it. I can't be upset about that, but I'm at the same time just like it's very selfish, and I
It's
feel
self.
like
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, like, even if I feel like this was all done without Ellie's consent, but
Hmm.
even if she was willing to consent to it, I feel like she would and be like, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was gonna comment on. That it's selfish because one, he's being selfish against the planet, right? Because he's keeping this potential vaccine from being created, but also selfish to Ellie, right? Because he knows that Ellie wants to sacrifice herself for this cause. So
Hmm.
knowing that, he still did what he did, right? So it's selfish to her specifically, right? So I understand your point of view. Um, Little devil's advocate here. This thought popped in my brain that okay, um, what Joel did could be considered, you know, a terrible thing against humankind, and yeah, like you're saying, very selfish. But think about this, like, do we know for a fact that if they did this procedure on Ellie, that a functional and usable cure would be developed? I don't think we know that, right? I don't
Hmm.
think we know that. Um, it could be, and the fact that it could be a cure is like huge. But I think in Joel's mind, not only does he want to save this girl who he is completely loves at this point, not only does he want to do that, but maybe he's thinking maybe they could be killing her for nothing. Like this
Hmm.
could lead to nothing. This potentially could lead to nothing. And with that potential, he's like, no, like, let's save her because she's everything to me. So, because of that, I'm in my mind, I might be in the camp of supporting Joel's decision. How about you, Christian? What do you think of
Hmm.
Joel's decision here?
I know it is a tough decision
Yeah.
because sometimes like you kind of do wonder, do the ends would the ends have justified the means here
Hmm.
Yeah.
on the end of the fireflies, because we don't know enough about the fireflies as well. Um, the only real like backstory we get, I think, is through Riley and maybe just other little tidbits that they're terrorists, but they're doctors, they want to bring an end to the cure. So even if they made a successful cure, do we know if the fireflies would even share it? Do we like?
Mm.
How would that cure go to everybody across the United States or the world, or would it just stay within the Fireflies?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is another question to kind of throw a wrench into things, even if the cure
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Um, and
Hmm.
so it's almost like both are wrong in a way. The Fireflies are probably wrong because they didn't give Ellie consent. They probably could have. There's probably something they could have done to really test the waters in a way, maybe a blood test,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something similar before going that route, before just prepping her right for surgery and just killing her right away. Um, but at the same time, they could have been their shot, and Joel may have taken it from them completely.
Mm-hmm.
While Joel kills all these people, he kills a man that surrenders. He kills a doctor who's unarmed. He kills, Marlene at the end, just because Marlene will come for them, even though she says she doesn't. And he
Yeah.
goes pretty much full Terminator mode.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even if Joel may have done the right thing to save Ellie, you know, the ends justify the means there.
Hmm.
If Joel went on, if Joel killed so many people to do so, just to save one.
Yeah.
So that also like makes it very conflicting. I don't know if I have an answer that I'll really stick with anytime. And I think like as the seasons go on, as they get to two, maybe three, I don't know how long they'll adapt this for. Maybe we'll learn more about the Fireflies. Maybe we'll see. Maybe some of those questions I've kind of asked before answer. I never played the game, so maybe they go more into the games, the DLC, Last of Us Part Two.
Hmm.
So it's almost like a part of me wants to, I think now it's like I want to side with Joel, even though I don't really feel good doing so, because the way he went about things was just so violent and bloody,
Yeah.
even though he may have felt that that was his only choice to save Ellie from this potential, from potentially dying, and
Yeah.
who knows, for a potential cure.
And that last scene, where he's like shooting down all the fireflies, totally feels something out of a video game,
Hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like a shooting gallery type
Yeah.
of like end sequence for a video game
Hmm.
Yeah.
where one guy's just like mowing down 50.
Yeah.
That is a good point you just made also about you know, even if the cure did work, how exactly would the fireflies use it? Right? That's a big question. And the way they went about their business with Joel and Ellie, it really makes you wonder, right? Because, like you're saying, Christian, they didn't give Ellie consent. Joel wasn't part of the decision-making process. They captured them and they were like, thank you for helping us, but we're gonna do our thing. We'll let you go, but Ellie's good as dead. We're getting into her brain here, right? Um, Maybe because of the way they were doing that, Joel was like, fuck this shit, man. Like, even if this cure works, if they're treating us like this right now, like who knows what they're gonna do with this thing? They're gonna keep it to themselves. They'll, really, who knows? Who knows? So yeah, I know. The more I think about it, I might be siding a bit with Joel here. Um, but like we've been saying, um, there really isn't an ultimate right or wrong answer here. And that's another thing I really love about this show. The lines between good and evil are completely blurred. I mean, this isn't the only thing that is like gray area time, right? That all throughout the show, good guys, bad guys, everything is like blurred lines. And I love that. It's so complex and it's real. That's the real world. The real world isn't like black and white, straight up good, straight up evil. it is like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So very relatable. You can relate to the characters and the situations, and the realism is so great here. Okay. Any other thoughts? Like any other negatives? Like anything you didn't like about the show at all?
Hmm. I guess going off the last episode, like I did think the episode was like a little too short. I think for something that was supposed to wrap everything up for a show that was okay with taking these like hour and a half long episodes. The last episode to be like this quick 45 minutes and like you never really spent enough time and like I have so many questions about the fireflies.
Yeah.
The I kind of wish they did spend a little bit more time at the very end, maybe a little more time with Joel and Ellie, but with scenes. I could have used another scene similar to like the giraffe scene. I thought that
Mm,
was great at the in the last episode. Them kind of going around, you see them like you get a little more time to sit with them as on their the final moments of their journey, as well as maybe a little bit more time with the fireflies, maybe a little more time in the hospital to kind of dwell on what was about to happen because it
yeah.
does feel a bit like it just kind of like snaps, gunfight, and then the episode's over. So I don't know. I think that was probably one of the only like kind of downsides I can see off the top of my head. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
The runtime for the last episode and
Yeah. Do you find it was too
unsolved.
short, a little
No,
rushed?
for me, I didn't. I thought, um, yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with the timing for the last episode. Um, no, yeah, sorry.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm kind of with you, Porfirio, because you know, good television leaves you wanting more, right? I felt that way too, Christian. Like at the end, I was like, I want to see more, but um, that's what a good show does. It leaves you wanting more. I mean, unless it's the series finale, you don't want to have like
Yeah,
loose ends and all that cliffhangers at the very end. But end of season one with more to come, like, yeah, I'm okay with leaving room for next season or further future seasons, right? So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that is the thing about television. We do know we're getting more
Yeah,
later. It's like, but I guess there's a show that it was kind of so well written, so well paced that like I'd say like that was about it as far as like any like negatives that roll off the top. Because some of the changes, um, I think if there was a plot point I didn't think was as strong as the others, I still liked it, but I think it was part of the whole Kansas City plot. I think felt I don't know. It's something I did really like the part with what's his name, Henry and his kid,
hmm
and you have
hmm
the woman who's chasing him.
hmm
yep,
I still liked it, and I liked the big showdown at the end. Uh, but I think that one didn't stick out to me as much as the other plots outside of some of the action sequences. There were
hmm
some still great moments with that uh in that series, and I still think it's like a really solid episode.
yeah,
But I think if I would choose a weak point, it would probably be the Kansas City part.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Like,
And maybe the reason is it's actually like 2 episodes, right? Um, there's a lot of runtime in that period, so yeah, I think I felt that way a little bit, where I was like, oh well, let's move it along here. Whereas really the rest of the season, each episode like was like self-contained in a lot of ways. And yeah, maybe the Kansas City stuff was drawn out a little bit too long,
For
perhaps.
for me, I think the weakest of the bunch was episode 6 when Joel finally meets with his brother,
Mm,
Tommy,
hmm.
because I feel like, like well, one, I this is also like gonna like I'm just being nitpicky here, but like I'm a big like um Gabriel Luna fan. Gabriel
Mm-hmm.
Luna fan. So like I loved him as Ghost Rider and Agents of Shield in the MCU. So like when he was announced and casted in this show, I was really happy for it. You only see him in the first episode, and I'm like, when the hell is he gonna come in again? And then he finally comes back in this episode, and it's kind of short, like I feel like the I think since like the second episode, like Joel was like, okay, like we're gonna meet up with my brother Tommy in Wyoming, and then we're gonna figure it out from there. And then they get there, and like Tommy's like, oh, I don't want to go with you. Have like a happy life, And so I just felt like it was kind of like short-lived, like there was just no point to it. Um, like I get like, like Tommy made a whole life for himself. Maybe that was the point of the show, to find that everybody can find happiness in this like post-apocalyptic world and just make the most out of it. But for me, I felt like that episode was the weakest of the bunch.
Hmm. I mean, I could see that in some ways. It was slower, less action.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, there was a sense of like, oh, that's it. Like Tommy is living this like comfortable life, and you know, it seems like a whole like possible adventure storyline, finding Tommy or fighting zombies with Tommy. That was kind of like, oh, that's not happening, right?
Yeah.
I will say this though, man, there is one scene with Joel and Tommy, where Joel actually comes to tears, right? And they're just having this incredibly emotional moment. And I think if there is value to this episode, it's that scene, because you really get to know Joel and what is going on with him, right? Um, for a lot of the season, he's like ice cold, right? He's this very emotionless guy, right? But he breaks down there. Pedro Pascal is so awesome in that scene, amazing. And yeah, like we talked about the character development, like his character was really, really developed in this episode.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of with you. It's maybe a little bit on the boring side, but like every episode in this season, that there's some kind of value, whether it's pushing the story further, or world building, or character developing. It's just like there's something positive with every episode here.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely. It does feel like a bit like when it comes to negatives, I really got to think about it. And when I think about the like episodes, even then, it was like, well, I did enjoy this part of that. I did really
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, yeah.
And
Hmm.
sometimes I will say, like, I did kind of like that episode, like because it felt like a bit of a break. It's
Mm-hmm.
like there was part that was so dreary, and it's such a draining show to watch that I kind of like. It was like, okay, they're fine. This he this is just a regular town with regular people, and they
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
just live on like probably the closest to normal lives with electricity. And in a way, it was like this like kind of sigh of relief, kind of like the same way you kind of have it in like that similar Bill episode, where it's just like, okay, it's okay, and it's like I relax in a bit while I was
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Whereas like other parts, you're just so like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Or oh God, this world is so bleak. Like the
yeah,
cannibal episode, like the kind of dark mirror to kind of
yeah,
some of the other that society.
Yeah.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
that cannibal episode threw me off. I did not think they were eating people.
yeah. That was a surprise to me too.
Yeah, and it makes me like think of like, oh, why didn't I get it when he said like that's venison, right? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Or what is that? Venison, you know? It didn't click with me
Yeah.
until after like they made it like clear. It's like, oh Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, episode 8. Uh really violent, intense ending to that episode. There's cannibalism in it. And also there's like this eerie feeling throughout the whole
Hmm.
episode. So yeah,
Hmm.
we were all pretty surprised about finding out about the cannibalism, but we all knew something was fucked up in that town. You knew it
Yeah.
from the very beginning. Something was not right.
Yeah.
We couldn't put our finger on it, but yeah, you just had that feeling. Another great episode. Yeah, super intense. Okay, I want to pose something here. Um, so this might be a little more relevant to myself and Porfirio, but I think this show, you can't help but compare it to The Walking Dead, right? So maybe we'll talk about that a little bit right now. Yeah, Porfirio, did you think about The Walking Dead at all when you were watching this show?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think just because I think I told you guys like it was at the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm gonna get into Walking Dead again. But then this show comes, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, ah, Walking Dead could kind of wait for now.
Yeah.
Um, but I think one, I think like just the production value, the production budget was just a lot higher with HBO versus um AMC. That um this was just like top notch makeup, storyline, graphics, and The
Mm-hmm.
Walking Dead, like it had a good storyline at one time. I can't say like whether it continued, whether it was any good afterwards, but I just yeah, like I just felt like Walking Dead was kind of it's hard to say because at one point Walking Dead was really, really good, and then it just slowly, for me, just like died down. But there are elements of the two where I could see like where they're both like at their peak. Like when they're both at
Mm-hmm.
their peak, they both like are good representation of zombie genre.
Now, you mentioned Walking Dead at its best. Do you think Walking Dead at its best was better than Last of Us or vice versa? Like, what do you think? I mean, we're talking like, I mean, to me, like seasons like 4 and 5 Walking Dead were like great television. I would certainly think it would rival this season of Last of Us, but I don't
No,
know.
yeah.
What do you think?
4 or 5's like when the governor's in there, right?
Yeah, well, Governor was introduced in like season 3. Um, but season 4 is like when they took over the prison and then they
Oh
had
yeah.
that battle against the governor.
Hmm.
And season 5 was like Terminus.
Okay, yeah, yeah, okay. Um, oh God, no, I would still give it to Last of Us.
Mm,
I think it again like comes down to like just better production, you know, like there was storyline, there was the makeup was better, the landscaping, the visuals were amazing, the acting was really great. I feel like
mm-hmm,
Walking Dead, there was like a lot of cooks in the kitchen,
mm-hmm,
and you had your favorites, whereas this one you only had Joel and Ellie, you know.
mm-hmm, yeah,
Um, and I think with Walking Dead, it was kind of like one linear storyline, whereas Last of Us, like how we said so many times, what we enjoy about the show is like there's the main storyline, but then there's like all these like side episodes that are just as good as the main storyline.
yeah. Cool. Yeah, I definitely had some thoughts here. Um, yeah, for sure. I think with Walking Dead, like Walking Dead came way before Last of Us, right? So huge props for breaking the ground. And when Walking Dead was good, it was really good. And it was good for a lot of the reasons why Last of Us is good. There's a lot of similarity, and I think um Walking Dead laid the groundwork for a lot of the stuff that is awesome about Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so many similar things, like the stuff we're talking about, how the lines are blurred between good and evil. Um, that came up a lot in Walking Dead. I think the stuff where Rick and company arrive at Alexandria, and all of a sudden the heroes of the show are viewed as the villains, right? They're these like crazy savages who come to town and who
Mm-hmm.
are causing all these problems. I love that. And they really set the groundwork there, and I think The Last of Us used that. And I think, like you're saying, they kind of have done it better. But it has to be said that Walking Dead did this stuff first. And that wasn't the only thing. Like a lot of other stuff, like yeah, like I jotted some stuff down, but oh, the cannibalism. I mentioned Terminus, that's been done. That was done for like a whole season on Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So when I saw that episode on Last of Us, I'm like, holy shit, it's like Terminus, right? It's very similar. The realism, we talked about the realism of Last of Us. There is this realism aspect to Walking Dead. Maybe that's the best part of the Walking Dead show, the realism, because I always felt like if the zombie apocalypse really happened, this is what would happen. People would not band together. People would break off and do their own thing, and there'd be all these different tribes and stuff. And as dangerous as the zombies are, it's the other people who are the real danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
um that was a huge thing in Walking Dead. That's a huge thing in Last of Us, right? As dangerous as these zombies are, we've talked about the clickers and the bloaters. The real threat is other people again, right? And ambiguous heroes, we talked about that. Like the same questions about Joel can be asked about a lot of different characters in Walking Dead, like Rick Grimes. Is he doing the right thing, right? There are times in Walking Dead where he has humanity. Sometimes he goes completely animalistic, a lot like what we saw Joel do at the end of the season, right? So there's a lot of the similar stuff. So I think, I don't want to say like what's better, what's worse, but I think it has to be said that Walking Dead laid the groundwork, and Last of Us took a lot of the similar themes and expanded on it in a lot of ways. They did it like really well, and you could argue better than Walking Dead did it. But I just think almost like a shout out to that show, because I think Last of Us does owe Walking Dead a lot for first doing a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. That actually reminds me, I have a question for you guys. So, um, I think with Walking Dead, because I haven't really gotten past season one, I think one of the complaints I've heard about Walking Dead is that it just kind of keeps going on. It goes on for too long. Um, and so but that's adapting a long form comic book, you know,
Yeah.
which
Mm-hmm.
comics are generally designed to go on for long periods of time. But Last of Us, season one covers game one, and there's only
Mm-hmm.
really one other game that was released actually about 3 years ago now. There
Mm-hmm.
might be a third game coming. They've been very tight-lipped about it.
Yeah.
So who knows when that'll get released.
Mm-hmm.
But how long do you think the show should go?
I
Mm.
I think I read an article saying that the showrunners only want to make like a complete storyline of what they want to tell with the story, and to not let it, like what you said, Christian, like let it be like too fatigue. I think they want to go to at least like 4 or 5 seasons to tell a story that they'll be satisfied with.
I like the sounds of 4 or 5 seasons. That seems about right to me.
Because I think the next, because yeah, like season one was the game one, and then I think they want to aim for season two and three to be the second game. And then like you said, Christian, I think yeah, there's like talks about a third game, but I think, at that point they kind of want to take like, like Game of Thrones route and kind of just like move away from the game content and just like branch out into like their own storyline.
Yeah. Like, who knows if game 3 will be the end of the series?
Hmm.
Like, it would make for a nice trilogy, and I think PlayStation, one good thing about PlayStation is that they know not to drag out their franchises. They know to just tell the story and let it end when it needs to end,
Hmm.
rather than to keep making a new one, like many other game franchises that probably should have ended a long time ago. Assassin's Creed. And
Halo and Halo.
yeah, Halo, Assassin's Creed, the list goes on and on. But luckily PlayStation knows to know when to end it, and they don't have to keep resurrecting it.
Hmm.
So who knows, maybe they'll adapt 3, um maybe season 2. I think there's going to be a bit of a time skip. That's what I've heard. So they have a lot of time to fill in the blanks, maybe some more DLC. Maybe we can get a lot more of those Bill and Frank type side stories to fill in some blanks
Hmm.
before they end it. I think, yeah, 4 seasons sounds really good. 4 or 5.
Cool. So speaking of video games, maybe we'll have that conversation now. Christian, you're probably the biggest gamer of this group. Um, but with this show, I guess there's a few questions. Do you think this show is the greatest video game adaptation of all time currently? Other questions might be, what do you think this show has done in terms of video game adaptations? Is this the big game changer everyone has been waiting for? Do you think there's going to be a whole new approach to adapting games, it with the seriousness and like um how prestigious this show is? Do you think there's going to be more stuff like this? Like, what do you think?
I definitely hope the quality's there. I think it almost feels like a code people have been trying to crack for a long time that's only kind of recently been cracked. And I think there's been actually a few really great video game shows in the past few years. Um, all of them though are animated, and it seems like animation seemed to
Mm,
be the lane that I was thinking of take that they that they've been taking, or having just heavy animation. Um, stuff like Castlevania, and then like whereas like Sonic the Hedgehog, Detective Pikachu leaned very heavy into animation, even if they also were live action, and so but like this show definitely, like, it's hard to say if it's my personal favorite of what I've seen, especially since I haven't really played the game, so I don't really have the hype and love of the game behind the show as well. But it's definitely the one that I think got the most people talking. It's definitely the biggest, and like my parents have watched it. People that
mhm.
never play any video game watched it. Like, you guys
Yeah.
don't really play many, aren't really as big into video games, and you guys watched all of it and seem to
Yep.
love it. And I've heard nothing but praise about it. And so I feel like this is the one to hopefully just completely open the floodgates and
Yeah.
get people talking about this, get more like high quality talent behind these, and get more like high quality productions, because I think it shows that I think video games are like they're pretty much just like a mainstay of popular culture that aren't really gonna go anywhere anytime soon, and it's only gonna get, you know, more and more. I think with each new generation, I think it's almost like video games are kind of just a regular part of growing up now, especially with everyone having a phone on them and
Hmm.
easy access to it. And it's kind of just it's popular culture now.
You, you know,
Yep.
like, yeah, going off what you're saying, Christian, I think like it just kind of goes off like with sticking with the original material and not veering too off from it. Because right now, like the biggest like video game adaptation works that come to mind in recent years are like Halo, like that was turned to a TV show on Paramount Plus, and like the visuals are great, but the TV show is pretty bad,
Yeah, but
Mm,
And I feel like, like we both played Halo, and the storyline to Halo, especially Halo 2, is just really, really top notch.
mm,
And that's like a really great example of just like sticking to the original material without adapting too far from it. Or something like The Witcher, or I feel like there's another one that was in the back of my mind, but
it's good or
um
bad.
that was bad. Uncharted, you
Oh,
know.
yeah, Uncharted, Mortal
Uh-huh.
Kombat, the latest one.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat,
mm-hmm.
like these are just like films that like you can't veer too off from like the original material, because I guess, yeah, not to say that like story wise, the story is the main selling point for video games, because obviously a lot of people like the violence in it and stuff like that. But if you have like just a story that or a film that just does a bunch of killing and no storyline, you get something like Fast and Furious.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Christian.
like I think the creators of this show definitely had a great reverence for the games. And while I haven't played the game, I've heard that there's a lot of scenes that are shot for shot cut scenes or scenes from the game. I
Mm-hmm.
think well, Bill and Frank was a story that was entirely original. You can definitely tell that there's a love for this game at the core of the show, and that's
Hmm.
part of what makes it so great.
Hmm.
That's all I would say. What were you gonna say, Henry?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I like what you said about how the show's really captured the public's attention. A lot of non-gamers watched it, non-fandom people have watched it, and it reminds me a little bit of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Um, those movies and shows have really changed the game in that non-comics people are really into superheroes now, right? And kind of this a similar thing where when like Avengers Endgame came out, everyone watched it, right? Non-comics people, non-fandom people were watching this stuff. And yeah, to me, this season of Last of Us might be like the Iron Man 1 of video game adaptations, right? It could potentially like have this huge effect, being like the big breakthrough for these. Well, like we've been saying, it's not the first time um, a video game has been adapted, and it's not even the first time a video game has been adapted well. But this one, there's something to this. Like everyone was watching this show. Everyone is like consumed with the characters. Everyone is talking about this show. So yeah, it could have a big game changer effect. So I'm real curious, to see um what happens. There could be some projects that might not have been greenlit if this show wasn't such a big hit, right? So we'll see. We'll see. It's exciting. It's exciting times for sure.
Yeah. Did you guys catch again, because we're talking about the video game here, that the I guess like love Easter eggs to the fans? Like some of the original voice actors were
Yeah.
characters
Oh
within
yeah.
the TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about
Hmm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, Troy Baker, I think, makes an appearance, played the voice of Joel.
Hmm. Ellie, the voice actress of
Mhm.
Ellie, she plays Ellie's mom.
Yes.
Marlene plays Marlene.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. Yeah. And that kind of is connected to what I was saying too about the MCU, where there's a lot of love for the source material and a lot of care is taken, right? And fans of the original content are rewarded. So yeah, I think as we've talked about a lot before, when there's that sort of thought and care, it really shines through, and it makes for a really cool experience. Okay, so at this point, I think we can get into the ratings. Always kind of tricky rating a TV show. Um, but let's take a crack at it. The Last of Us season 1 on a scale of 1 to 5. What would you give The Last of Us? Who should go first? How about you, Porfirio?
The five. That's like
Oh, no
easiest,
hesitation.
yeah, easiest five I've ever had to give out.
Cool.
Like I could probably, yeah, watch this over again, and um I'm just I guess like a negative thing I should have said was that 9 episodes is too short. But it was really, really good. I was like every Sunday at 6 o'clock, I told my family, do not bother me from 6 to 7 because this is when I'm watching The Last of Us. Like
Nice.
I had my whole routine, so this was a
Mhm.
show I was looking forward to every week, and I just love the show from the first episode to the season finale.
Oh, I should say that too. Like, I would watch this on the night of airing also. And I feel like I haven't done that in a while. Like Sunday nights, yeah, like block off my calendar. I'm watching Last of Us, right? And I think a lot of people did that. Like they didn't want to get spoiled
Yeah.
and they just want to be on top of it. And just people were just craving the content, you know? And yeah, in this day and age of streaming, not that common, right? But with this show, yeah, things changed. People wanted to see this one right away.
Hmm.
I can go next. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed this show. I think I'm gonna go with a 4 though. Um, and just because I feel like I want to leave room for more. I want maybe it's like I want I want to be even more amazed by season 2 or something. But actually, you know what it is really? I was talking about Walking Dead a little bit before, and like if the show The Walking Dead never existed and this show just boom dropped onto the planet Earth, I would have been like jaw dropped and just be like, what the fuck? It like amazing. This is the best thing ever. As it is, I feel like it is like furthering a lot of themes and ideas from The Walking Dead, which is cool. But it's not like 100% fresh to me. Like it's like I've been saying over and over, like it's just kind of furthering those ideas. So for that reason, I can't do like the whole full grand slam 5 out of 5 thing. Um, but and I was thinking of like maybe what I would like to see in the future, season 2 and beyond, is maybe getting away from the same stuff. Like I feel like there is a lot of similarity to Walking Dead, so I would love to see um like this show, The Last of Us, furthering itself more from Walking Dead. For example, that season or that episode 3, the Bill and Frank episode, that really was nothing like Walking Dead, nothing like any television I've ever seen, really. And that's awesome. And maybe what I'm saying is like, give me more of that shit. Like, I would love to see more of these like amazing side stories. Um, yeah, so leave it at that. 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. How about you, Christian?
Yeah, I think I'll also go with Porfirio and give it the full 5 out of 5. I think the season as we've seen it now, kind of in its own little vacuum, it's like beginning to end, it's great. Each episode is solid, and like there's so many great little moments within each episode that just really, really stand out as just top tier television. Like it's definitely something you're just kind of glued on the screen, and even during the slower moments, I just experience lots of moments of like relief or tension or something else in between. Um, and I really can't wait to play the game. I think it's going to be coming out to PC in a couple weeks, and so I'm going to download it right away because I am now hooked. I'm now a fan, and I'm wishing I played it when it came out. And so, yeah, full 5 out of 5.
Awesome. That's a great point too, where a movie or show is so good that you want to read the comic it was based off of, or you want to play the video game it was adapted from, right? So definitely a huge stamp of approval there. Okay, with that, we can wrap up the episode. This is farewell from Henry, Porfirio, and Christian.